And welcome everyone. My name is Becky Bay. I'm the director of the Career and Advising Center, and I'm excited to share with you what the registration process will look like for you so that you can be all ready for classes in the fall. So tonight, on our next slide here, we'll go over these 3 steps. In case can you advance this?
I'm going to defer to Angela. She's trying to, there she is. There you go.
Perfect. So we'll go through the process tonight, which includes what you need to do as a student, what the academic advisors will then do, and then the final step for you to ultimately register for your classes. So you all by this point should have received either an email or a postcard, and hopefully both, just depending on the postal service, whether or not you've received your postcard yet. But included in that are the steps for the pre-registration. And these are 3 things that we ask you to do so that we have the best information possible to suggest classes that are in line with what knowledge you're already bringing to NDSU, but it will also line up with the work that you intend to do at NDSU. So the 3 things are to complete a student survey. This survey asks questions about maybe some transfer credits that you might bring in. We want to confirm your major, and if what is listed is not your intended major anymore, you have the option to just put in there what you would like to major in, and we will make those changes. And just a whole host of other questions for us to better get to know you. Then the next thing we ask you to do is to take the online NDSU math placement test. The reason we do this, even if you are intending to bring in some dual credits or some transfer credits, is that we want to make sure that you place in the correct math, the math class. It is possible that you would take this placement test and you could place into a higher math class than what your transfer credits would allow. So this test is beneficial for you to take. Now this test does take around 60 to 75 minutes, so you do need to dedicate some time to it, but it'll be well worth your while if that means taking a higher math class. And then the 3rd thing is to complete the online NDSU English Placement Survey. This is a much shorter survey. It is not a test. It's really to ask you your experiences related to education around English so that we can place you in the correct class. Once you do those 3 things, all that information will be sent over to us. And on the next slide, we'll talk about what happens from there. So the academic advisors will go in and review all of your information. And what they will do is create a recommended course list for you. And then we will send you that information on how to access that course list, and then ultimately how you can register for those classes. So the timeline for how this is going to work is if you complete that work by May 16th, we will make sure that you are receiving an email on June 2nd with the instructions to register. If you're unable to do it by May 16th, that's okay. Then the next time frame is May 31st, and then you'll receive an email by June 15th. And you can see the rest of the dates there. I want to stress the earlier that you can do this, the better your class options will be as far as availability. But know that classes will be available for you to take regardless of when you do this. So, but the sooner you do it, the better. And if we need to add sections, it's much easier for us to do that in June versus August. So please, please, please do this as really as soon as you are able. And so as Sinkis mentioned in the chat here, the registration steps or pre-registration steps are outlined on that website listed. And with that, I think it goes back over to Angela and to share with us about orientation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Seawald Marquardt. I'm the Director of Student Success Programs. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about orientation. We've got two main goals for orientation, and both are important for making a successful transition to NDSU. The first is that you learn important information about academics, financial processes, finances, campus resources, all of that information that is really foundational for being a student here. The second goal is to help you make connections. We know that you're excited to be part of the NDSU community, and we're excited to welcome you. And that starts with making some connections with other students, faculty, and staff. I am having some trouble with advancing. There we go. So orientation modules are the ones that are focused on the information delivery. You would complete these independently on Blackboard. That's an online learning platform. And you do this before class registration to learn that important information. We do think it's very wise to do before class registration so you're well aware of this important information before you actually register for classes. Within the modules, we have the pre-registration steps that Becky outlined. And you can either go to that website and get started with the pre-registration steps there or in the online modules. We just want to have it in two places, that way you cannot miss it. Within the orientation modules, we also have some supplemental tools, a video library, departmental directory, and list of resources. The video library is really, really neat. If you want to get more information about a given topic, you can really dive a little deeper. We've got videos about study abroad, about disability services, about the Wellness Center. The departmental directory, we know that it's sometimes hard to know what office to reach out to, and so we put it all there. And then the list of resources, everything that we mention in the modules, we put in that list of resources. So if we talk about Minnesota tuition reciprocity, for example, that will be found in the list of resources. We will also have a live orientation, and this will be done via Zoom. There are two schedules that run simultaneously, and you can see the schedules there, the different topics that will be covered. The students meetings are really, again, focused on connection making. Students will first meet other students who will live in residence life, or if they're going to be commuter students, other students who will be commuter students. They'll also meet the staff members that work with those populations. The orientation group meetings are a great way to make connections with other new students. We've got returning students that we call orientation leaders who lead that, and they want to share their stories and help you learn what you need to make a successful social and academic transition. And then lastly, the academic college meetings, you'll meet faculty and staff from your individual college. We've got 7 colleges at NDSU, each one focused on different group of majors. So engineering is a college, for example. The family members also have a schedule, and their meetings are separate. We find that family members tend to have slightly different kinds of questions as the students, and they don't have quite as much need to make connections as the students do. So they are designed especially for family members. The first is transition to NDSU, so you can better understand what that's going to be like for your student and how you can support them through that transition. There will be a few breakout sessions on career development, course materials, and student health services. Meetings again on residence life, or if your student will be a commuter student, what that is like. And then the academic college meeting. The academic college meeting will be shared with the students. That's the only meeting that they both share. These orientation meetings will take a few hours, and we have several dates throughout the summer in June and July. And here they are. We've got morning and afternoon. The website that's listed there is where you can go to find the reservation link, where you can select a date and a afternoon or morning session. So we are doing orientation in June and July via Zoom, but there are other connection opportunities, both via Zoom and in person. The first is admitted student exploration dates, and I need to look up the dates here for you. They are July 9th, 12th, 19th, and 26th. Some of the things that you would do during these exploration dates are visit a resource fair or an academic fair. You'd have a student panel. You'll have residence hall tours and a campus tour. You'll also have on-demand financial meetings with financial aid officers if you've got questions. And all of those are just options. You do not have to do the admitted student exploration days. It's just another supplemental thing to help you out. We'll have information meetings via Zoom, and these will be focused on delivering information about specific topics, and you can read them there. And in many of these meetings, they'll have some connection opportunities as well. The Residence Hall Association here does some really fun things, and they will be doing virtual games throughout the summer. They'll have Pictionary, bingo, and trivia. And then the most important is Welcome Week, and that happens the very first week that you are here in the fall. We've got lots of events that are really designed very intentionally about helping you make a successful transition, really helping you meet other students that are studying the same kinds of things you are, living where you're going to live. You'll be led by a Welcome Week leader who has lots of wise things to share. So lots of ways to get connected. So what's next? We have these steps for you. Complete the pre-registration steps. Those are the ones that Becky spoke about for an advisor to make a class schedule for you. And the website is listed there. Make a reservation for your live orientation. Regularly check your email. We will communicate with you pretty regularly throughout the summer just to make sure that you're completing the different tasks that new students should do before they come to campus. And then lastly, that new student checklist is really helpful. It's pretty comprehensive. So those websites will be very helpful for you. And that is it. I'm going to turn it over to Laura.
Before we turn it over to Laura, I'd like to chime in quick. Thank you so much, Angela and Becky. Students, family members who are on the chat, if any of you have questions or need us to clarify the steps that were just covered about registration and orientation, that is what we're here for. So don't be shy. Please put your questions in the chat. Or like I said, once we wrap up, we'll be sure to stick around if you'd like to ask your questions and unmute and ask us directly. So with that, I'm sorry, Laura, to interject, but I would like to introduce Dr. Laura Oster-Allen and Dr. Margaret Fitzgerald. Laura is our Vice Provost for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. And Dr. Fitzgerald is our provost. And they are here today to just give you a quick update on what to expect for the fall semester. So I'm going to turn it over to Laura and Margaret.
Do you want to go first, Margaret?
I was going to try to go first and needed to get myself unmuted. So thank you. Good evening, everybody. And thanks for being here tonight with us. We are very much looking forward to welcoming you to campus. Tonight, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how we expect to be delivering courses and programming in the fall. We are very excited. We're planning for a face-to-face on-campus experience for you when you join us in the fall. Most of our undergrad courses are taught in a face-to-face environment. There are some that are offered online, and they're coded that way in the schedule. So you know if you're looking at an online option or the regular face-to-face offering. But again, most of our undergraduate courses are face-to-face. So we plan to see our faculty and our students in the classroom in the fall. Our faculty have had a lot of experience over the past year offering things either online or through a high flux delivery system where some students are physically present in the classroom and others are attending virtually in real time like we're doing tonight. And so the faculty will have the option of of making adjustments for students who maybe feel they're not ready to come back into the physical classroom, or have some health issues to think about, things like that. So if you are not sure you're going to be comfortable being back face-to-face with us, it's a good idea to let your academic advisor know that. He or she can help you find the classes that will help you adjust to the schedule that you need. And of course, our faculty members are happy to help as well. Sometimes it can be a little intimidating to approach faculty members, but I assure you, they became professors because they love teaching and they love working with students. So by all means, please approach them when you need to and try to get to know them when you're here at NDSU. So I will now turn it over to Laura.
Wonderful, thank you. Excited to be with you tonight and welcome you to NDSU. I want to talk just a little bit about your out of classroom experiences at NDSU. We are really known for our rich co-curricular environment, and we have had a great year to test out how to do this in a world with COVID. And while we hope the situation with COVID and feel that it will be better this fall due to the vaccinations that are being rolled out, we feel we can provide that rich experience. So we've learned a lot this year. We've still been able to offer many activities to students, even with the COVID low risk sort of mitigation efforts in place. And we believe that there will be lots more activity, even in addition to that this fall. We have some of the strengths for our first year students are our Welcome Week, which Angela talked about, which is filled with lots of educational and informative activities, but also a lot of just real fun times, honestly. And it's a great way to just make some memories. We have a lot of traditions at NDSU as well that will be back in full force this fall. And our residence hall experience is really one of the best around. Our facilities are clean and well kept, and our staff really make a wonderful living and enriching environment. We have a student government that is very active in providing funding for student clubs and organizations, about 300 clubs, and those students are eager to get back to their in-person meetings. Our Wallman Wellness Center has been in operation throughout the whole pandemic, again, with risk mitigation efforts in place. And that is another wonderful place to engage with other students. Lots of support here as well in terms of a student health center, a counseling center, a career and advising center, and many, many more things to support you. So we just are excited to welcome you to the Bison community, and are happy to take your questions tonight and when you come this fall.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Margaret. We did have a question come in that I'd like, that I was just going to respond in the chat, but I figured everybody would want to know the answer. Are we requiring vaccines this fall?
Yeah, no, we are not doing that at this point in time. The state has some regulations that prevent us from doing so. So we are encouraging people to get vaccinated, as we do think that's the probably safest way for all of us, but we do understand that people need to make that individual decision for themselves. So at this point in time, we will not be. We don't expect to, unless something changes drastically. We have been following public health guidance the whole time. So we will not be doing that at this point in time.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for any of our speakers today, or about anything in general about what to expect in the fall? I'm going to wait a few seconds because I know it takes a while to type out questions in case some of you are thinking of them.
One thing I'll mention while you're thinking is that because of the pandemic, we were able to, or needed to, upgrade our high-speed internet in all of our residence halls, and we have a lot of great new technology in our classrooms. And so you'll be coming back to a very well-equipped campus in that regard.
Thank you for throwing that in. Yeah, it's been pretty remarkable, the amount of technology and new things that we've had available to us. Some good things have come from the pandemic too, I will say. There is another question we received, and I might need to answer this, but is there a move-in date determined for the fall? Angela or Becky, do you want to answer this, or would you prefer I do?
Go ahead, Sinky.
Okay, I just didn't know if there's anything you wanted to add specifically. As of right now, the move-in date is scheduled for Saturday, August 21st. Traditionally, our move-in date has looked, has really been an all-day thing where students can come at any point on Saturday, that Saturday before classes start. And there are people all over campus to help you move into your room. Students, faculty, staff are all there, and literally you have to unload your car, and basically everybody brings stuff up for you. So it's definitely a community event and something we look forward to. But right now, Saturday, August 21st is the scheduled move-in day. I say that with a caveat because depending on CDC guidelines and guidelines within our state, we may not be able to host our move-in day as we normally have in the past. So please put a placeholder on your calendar for that Saturday. But if for some reason we need to space out move-in over a series of days, we'll be sure to let you know, and those decisions are being made right now. So as soon as they're finalized, you will all know as soon as we know, but I think for now, the safest thing to do is to mark Saturday, August 21st on your calendar for move-in day. Good question. Are there other questions? If you're still thinking, I'm going to add on to the move-in day thing. We had a session, the same session a couple days ago, and a question that came up was, how does welcome week correspond to move-in day and correspond to the first week of classes? So move-in day is usually on that Saturday, and welcome week usually kicks off that Saturday evening. So typically most of our students are moved in before welcome week kicks off, and then welcome week programs and events are scheduled through your first week of classes. So they happen usually not while you're in class, but there's several different options to choose from. So it's not that welcome week is before the first day of class, it happens within the first week. So there's just lots of ways for you to get connected both in and outside of the classroom within those first few days of school. Are there any other questions from anybody? Okay. Well, we will stick around for a few minutes. If anybody does want to stay on and unmute themselves to ask questions, we'll stick on for a few minutes. But for those of you who've gotten the information you needed, thank you so much for joining us. And if you do need anything else at all, you can contact the Office of Admission, Student Success Programs Office, or the Career and Advising Center Office. We are all very eager and excited to help you. So don't hesitate to reach out if there's any more information that you need after tonight's session. Otherwise, thanks for joining everybody, and we hope you have a great evening.